We can speak to Ross Feingold. Ross is in Taipei. He's a political risk analyst focusing on Asia. Ross, thanks very much for your time. What does this tell you about the status of the negotiations, this letter that Trump says he's received?
Well, obviously, President Trump emphasized the positive aspects of what's taken place to date during his administration with regard to North Korea. And we see that after that first year in 2017 of a lot of very heated rhetoric and missile tests and nuclear tests, that, as President Trump pointed out yesterday, that the nuclear tests and the long-range missile tests are not taking place. So President Trump, of course, emphasized the positive. And it's clear that at some level, the two sides are still talking. And that's a positive as well, even if the Hanoi summit did not succeed.
Yes, but, you know, you're mentioning that Trump is backing the status of testing by Pyongyang. And yet recent tests, other Asian countries surrounding the country you're speaking to us from, they have said those tests were in violation of UN resolutions. So Donald Trump isn't quite in accord with his allies around Asia on this.
Well, that's an interesting question. Obviously, China tends to take North Korea's side on these issues. Japan is very concerned about any kind of missile test, whether it's short range or long range, by North Korea. South Korea is obviously taking the lead in trying to negotiate various kinds of accommodations with North Korea. So broadly speaking, I think it's fair to say there's concern, but there's also a lot of support in the region for this continued engagement. Again, no one wants to return to where we were in the first few months of 2017, where the risk of war seemed like a real possibility. And interestingly, around the world, other major countries, Western Europe, for example, we don't see any criticism of Trump's approach with North Korea, where those countries might criticize other aspects of the Trump administration foreign policy. So again, broadly speaking, there's probably more support than criticism in the international community for what Donald Trump is doing with North Korea.
Ross, you'll have seen just possibly about 10 days ago or so, Kim Jong-Un criticized the state propaganda machine in his country. He criticized the mass games. Every year, those mass games symbolize so much of what North Korea is about. So suddenly there was a whole load of analysis about what's going on with Kim Jong-un. And many people have said that actually it seems as if he's closing the country in on itself again. But this letter to Donald Trump would suggest that actually he also has a different agenda. What have you made about what's been happening in North Korea over the past couple of weeks? And then this letter being sent to Trump?
Well, having attended the mass games myself, I certainly know how important it is as a sign of the unity of the government with the people, however forced it is, and their ability to organize and to put on a big show and to have foreign visitors come and see it. They also use it to send messaging, such as their relations with other countries, and specifically China or other third world countries. But for the most part, we can only speculate what the internal politics are of North Korea. A lot of experts will try and figure this out, who's sitting next to who on a podium when there's a public event. We've seen a lot of that lately after rumors that there were purges. But what Kim Jong-un has shown us repeatedly during the time that he has been in power after his father died is that despite all the naysayers or people saying that he's losing control or he's mentally unbalanced, all these things have proved to be untrue. One thing he has shown us repeatedly, despite sanctions and other difficulties that he faces, is that he has maintained control up to this date.
Always appreciate your analysis on TRT World, Ross. Thanks very much. Ross Feingold speaking from Taipei.